racing now. I wish I win from last. A spectacular TJ win. Giga kick down the outside, wins the Everest. Shinzo and Brian Moore had drawn clear to win the Golden Slipper.
With Tim Gilbert and Julie Snook, this is Racing Dreams.
Oh, it sure is. Good morning, and we are just 1 week away. And the Everest, a Group 1. Well, we've always thought it was a Group 1.
We've always said it.
Absolutely.
Good morning, Timmy. Good morning to you at home. A big day of racing at Rosehill Gardens today here in Sydney. And of course, the countdown is on to the $20 million Everest. Can't believe we're back here already, but we've got a huge show. Stick around. Let's take a look at what's coming up. As Timmy said, the Everest has been elevated to Group 1 status. We're about to chat to Ray Thomas for the latest update.
We catch up with one of the out-and-out absolute legends. He's a great guy, Johnny Tapp, ahead of today's Tapp Craig at Rosehill. And
the DNA of racing, we delve into the mind of a form analyst to learn exactly what he does and how he does it. I might even try and get some tips from him. I need all the help I can get.
We'll get to the tipping comp as well. I'm not sure who's leading, but we'll have a look at that a bit later.
Anyway, the Everest is a $20 million race, as we know. It is the richest race on turf, in fact, and now it has Group 1 status to go with it.
Yeah, racing editor of the Daily Telegraph, Ray Thomas. Sartorially elegant as always, Ray. The announcement came through the week, the All-Star Mile and the Everest getting Group 1 status.
Yeah, good morning, Tim. Good morning, Jules. I think it was long overdue, wasn't it, guys? I think when you look at the Everest and the impact that it's had not just on Australian racing but indeed world racing, it's been virtually immediate since it was introduced in 2017. Deservedly Group 1 from next Saturday onwards. And, well, to be fair, guys, there's no better sprint race in the world. It rates among the highest races every year in terms of sprint races. And as I said, it was long overdue to get that Group 1 status.
You've spoken to trainers, slot holders, etc. throughout the week. What's been the reaction from everyone?
I think universally an acknowledgement finally of the race, and all and sundry are happy it's got Group 1 status. I think when my colleague Ben Dorry sort of hinted a few weeks ago on RaceNet that this was going to happen, there was some scepticism, guys, because we've been talking about the Everest getting Group 1 status for years, since it was virtually introduced in 2017. But there seems to be a new era of cooperation in Australian racing now, and I think everyone, all the participants, sort of treated it, as Timmy said in the opener, they treated the Everest as a Group 1 anyway, and now it's got the official rubber stamp. Game on, and looking forward to next Saturday.
And Racing Australia, there's a review going on with looking into Australian black type guidelines?
There is, Timmy, and what comes, that'll be interesting, because I think they've got an agreement around the nation now to how to acknowledge and accept and upgrade races going forward. So the hint is there'll be more Group 1s announced sooner rather than later, as well as a number of more Group 2, Group 3 and listed races elevated as well. So, look, I think Australian racing's in a very healthy state at the moment. Our racing is particularly strong. Look at the fields today at Rosehill and Caulfield. Punters are sport for choice. It's a great day's racing. And look, I know there's probably that argument that some of the fields are split, but that's competition in the modern era. And we see the autumn carnivals clash. We see the spring carnivals clash. And as I said, I think punters get the best of both worlds, Tim and Jules.
What does this elevation also mean for the world pool when it comes to the coverage of the races here?
Yeah, really good point, Jules, because what it does mean now is races like the Everest, which are legitimately Group 1 contests, if they're amongst the top 100 Group 1 races in the world, and the Everest rates since it started in the top 20, sometimes in the top 10, top 5 even, so it will automatically go into the world pool next year. Now, that's great news for the racing industry, because obviously in the world pool, punters can bet into massive pools on particular races like the Everest. The New South Wales racing industry will get a fair amount of revenues from that, and there's a certain sort of there's a certainty when it comes to prices, Jules, and the dividends that come out of the world pool. So, all in all, it's really good news for the Australian racing industry, because not only does the Everest get Group 1 recognition at last, it becomes a new revenue base for the sport too.
I know you have Sky News on there in the media box, of course, at Rosehill, so you have the opportunity to see it. Yeah. We have Johnny Tapp coming on the program today, and of course the Tapp Craig. Look, I can say it 1,000 times how big a legend this bloke is. Been interviewing him or working with him for 30 odd years, and we walked down memory lane with a few of his great calls. He is just one of the outstanding figures of horse racing, isn't he?
You summed it up beautifully, Timmy, and you could talk to both John and Ian, for that matter, for hours and still want the interview to go longer, because both men, what they have experienced in racing and what their knowledge and their passion for the sport, it comes through. So I'm really looking forward to that interview. One of the genuine nice guys of New South Wales and Australian racing, and well, Timmy, he's an absolute legend, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Ray, I just wanted to ask you about this year's Everest field, because I know you've been obviously working and writing on this very closely. We still, the full field isn't quite official yet. We're still waiting on Coolmore to make their decision. Switzerland in the Roman Consul Stakes today. Is it likely that we'll see Switzerland take that Coolmore slot, or are you thinking Storm Boy still?
Difficult to answer that question, Jules, but we'll know in less than 70 seconds once the Roman Consul is run. And if Switzerland wins by 4 or 5 lengths, looks like Farlap wins easily and pulls up without turning a hair, suddenly he's very much in the mix for Coolmore's slot. Next week, there's a little bit of rain forecast. So talking to Tom Magnier late in the week, a couple of days ago, he's just a little bit worried about the potential of rain for Storm Boy. So that's why he's, I guess, looking at what Switzerland can do in the Roman Consul. Switzerland comes into this race under a bit of a cloud. He was disappointing first up in the Run to the Rose, but he has trialled really well since. We know he's a gifted colt, so it'll be really interesting to see what he does this afternoon, and that will have obviously a huge bearing on what call that Tom Magnier and the other people in Coolmore make in relation to their slot. Look, Storm Boy's still the horse that they have potentially in the race, and Brenton Abdallah, the jockey who's based in Hong Kong, is on standby to come back for the ride. So at this stage, probably a long neck in front, Storm Boy, but we'll know a lot more after the Roman Consul, Jules.
Raymond, always great to chat. Have a great day.
Thanks so much, Timmy and Jules.
Thanks, Ray.
Now, have you ever wondered what it takes for form analysts to determine their selections each and every week? It's a bit different to some of us who just get a dart and go.
Exactly. As you're about to discover, there is both an art and a science to the world of racing form. I caught up with analyst Nick Burney, who gave us some insight into his role and his love of the game.
For me, it's all about doing the form, the betting, and the whole puzzle it is, and trying to be right at the end of it. A lot of people probably watching this have the bug, and you have to live and breathe it to try and be successful at it. I suppose it's always been in my family. My father's been part of the industry for over 50 years, and at school, you know, like everyone, you read the newspaper, the best bets. I never really took it seriously till I was probably 19. I got the opportunity to work for a computer syndicate, which was eye-opening because that has taught me everything and gave me a great base. I actually went and lived overseas for a few years in Asia. I lived in Korea, Japan, Hong Kong. I was part of the inner circle where I could work closely with the teams, mathematicians, video analysts, the betting side of things, and that just was the best thing for me to really understand the game and doing that form process. I do a few different roles at Racing New South Wales as well, so I'm mainly a form analyst, and I'll do on-course presenting, say like I beat Canterbury Knights last year coming up, giving tips out. Then I'll do shows like Punter's Intelligence, sectional breakdowns, reviewing horses, how they went from say Saturday Rosehill Randwick meeting, and all bits and pieces, form lines, previewing meetings, pretty much just all form and tipping. It's the art and the science. Obviously there's the data and that gives you that good base, but you have to be able to adjust. A horse will get its figure, but was that horse impacted by the pace of the race or the bias, and giving them a bonus for that run? And the number's not everything. You still have to be able to adjust for that.
Ready now.
So the horse I'll use is in the last race is Ferrari. She's really well fancied. I think she's a great example. You look at her last start and she was really slow out, and that was uncharacteristic for her because she's usually leading or sitting on speed. You go break down her sectional profile, and the race on Saturday is going to be run at a fast tempo. There's a lot of 900 metre, 1000 metre type. She's shown in the past that she can handle fast pressure races. The next bit then I'll look at is her ratings itself. She's had 7 career starts. 4 of them she's rated to win Saturday's race, but 3 of those ratings are clearly superior to the rest of the field. One of those horses is going to have to go to a complete new level just to even get in the realm of her. If she reproduces one of those, which I think she can, especially with the setup she has on Saturday. She's got a good draw, barrier 1. She's got Kira Mara, trainer. Zach Lloyd is obviously in form. He's the apprentice jockey. So a lot of ticks there. So I'm confident she can get back to one of those ratings. And if she does, she's a genuine odds-on chance. It's been a great journey working from the basis of just form to now doing the media. When I was younger, I watched all these shows, the Form Lines with Greg Radley, Ron Dufficy. When I got to do Form Line with them a couple of times, it's been pretty surreal, and really happy with where things are at the moment. If you don't do the form, you'll get found out eventually. It's about doing the homework. You can win at it, I promise you that.
Great to have you with us. Jules is back with some news from around the tracks, and racing made its way to Parliament House in Canberra this week.
It certainly did, Timmy. The Parliamentary Friends of Thoroughbred Racing Group met in the nation's capital this week. It was a chance for representatives from all states to gather at the group launch. Now, among the topics, the federal government's review into online wagering, and also calls for question time to be rescheduled on the first Tuesday of November, of course, to ensure all of Parliament House can enjoy the big dance and Melbourne Cup. Take a listen.
Could you imagine at 3:03 I have to get up and ask the Prime Minister a question that goes along these lines? Prime Minister, who has won the Melbourne Cup? It would not be on. As a matter of fact, it would be un-Australian.
Racing is so much more than just our big feature days that are coming up, the Melbourne Cup and the Everest and others. It really is a part of our social and economic fabric of every town and city right across Australia. And as was mentioned, we've got about 400 race courses right across the country, and we're supporting over 100,000 full-time equivalent jobs and many more if you count part-timers and volunteers as well. And the beauty of that is, I think, that racing is the only sport that I can think of that you can go to the biggest cities in Australia, you can go to regional centres, rural places and even outback towns, and the biggest day there you will be the picnics at Birdsville or Louth or wherever you go. So every electorate that we live and work in is always enjoying that beauty of our sport, and I don't think there's any other sport that can claim that, so we should be proud.
Absolutely. Now, we almost have an Everest field, as we mentioned before. Coolmore still has to strike that pen, and the Roman Consul today.
Yeah, absolutely, Timmy. At last, the field is we're almost there. So let's take a look at how it's shaping up 1 week out from the $20 million race. Of course, I Wish I Win is in for trackside media yet again. Steffi Magnetica has been called up by Newgate and GPI Racing. Chris Waller has gone with Jolie Star. We'll talk to Peter Ty from the Chris Waller slot later this morning. The Australian Turf Club has gone with Giga Kick and Coolmore. More than likely to go with Stormboy, but we'll find out by Tuesday next week. If we turn over the page now, Sunshine in Paris, John Camilleri. So Owen Glenn has gone with Lady of Camelot. Private Eye got the call up from the Whitby Madden Werrett slot. Tab has gone with Bella Nipotina. The Star and Arrowfield has gone with I Am Me. And one last page. There you go. Yulong Investments with Growing Empire in Godolphin has given their slot to Traffic Warden. So as we know, Timmy, this time, 1 week, we will be trackside at Royal Randwick as we prepare for the world's richest race on turf.
Absolutely. And Sunshine in Paris, I've been with her the whole way. I still think Sunshine in Paris. Now, some of the sprinters lining up for the Everest trial.
Yeah, this was some superstar trial 4 contenders trialled over 1,000 metres at Randwick on Tuesday, including Lady of Camelot, Private Eye, Sunshine in Paris and Jolie Star. This is the trial that we're watching on now. Lady of Camelot narrowly took out the trial ahead of Lady Laguna and Private Eye. Meantime, also in this one, Fangirl, Amelia's Jewel and Celestial Legend, the grey, with the blinkers on for the first time, if we're watching the right one. He was in that shot there. The trio is headed for the King Charles III Stakes next week. That's also a race we've got to keep an eye on next week, because that is shaping up to be an absolute blockbuster.
Oh, yeah, some racing royalty. J-Max locked in his ride for the Everest?
Well, it sounds like that trial earlier in the week combined with last week's premiere was the decider for James McDonald. We've touched on this previously. A mare or filly is yet to win or even place in the Everest, but you get the feeling that James is confident this is all about to change. He has this week confirmed he will ride the Chris Waller-trained Jolie Star in the Everest after Giga Kick finished 5th in the Premier Stakes. He's still hovering on those 99 Group 1 wins as well. That could change in today's Caulfield Guineas, where he rides the favourite Godolphin Colt's Broadsiding.
Absolutely. Now, he has an embarrassment of riches, doesn't he? He can choose wherever he wants to go, James McDonald. Finally, Australia's finest toy racehorses have been crowned.
Yeah, superstar mare Pride of Jenny has been named the Australian Racehorse of the Year at a ceremony in Adelaide this week. Who can forget that remarkable run in the Queen Elizabeth Stakes back in the autumn? It's still hard to believe. So it's no surprise she was also named the champion middle distance horse. Godolphin Colt Broadsiding, who we'll see today down in Caulfield, named the champion 2-year-old. Steffi Magnetica, the champion 3-year-old filly, with the late Riff Rocket named the champion 3-year-old colt or gelding. Kiwi sprinter Imperatrice was crowned the champion sprinter there, and we know why. And congratulations also to Chris Waller for taking out the champion Group 1 trainer. And that man there, James McDonald, the champion Group 1 jockey for a 4th year. Timmy?
We have officially gone around the tracks. Thank you, Julie.
Indeed.
Now, 2 of the great race callers will be honoured again at Rosehill Gardens today with the running of the Tap Craig. Yep, Ian, Craig and John Tapp. I caught up with Tappy for Racing Dreams to chat a variety of things, including some of his great spring race calls.
The second running of the Tap Craig, and we're ready to go now. And the gates are back, they're off. The filly Macarena takes the lead from the Little Pumper, then End-Cap, Snapback flashing home, Macarena in front, she needs the post, but Macarena wins the Tap Craig.
Peter Volandis rang me one morning and said, how would you feel about a race being named after yourself and your good friend Ian Craig? What did he expect me to say? I was gobsmacked. A great honour indeed. Unfortunately, it hasn't yet attained Group 1 status.
Gates open, off in the Northwest Airline.
1991, Superimpose winning his second Epsom. And it's the one race call I'd love to have over again. I discarded him on the turn into the straight. He was last of 20. And instead of coming to the outside, which Superimpose usually did, Darren Beedman elected to go up the middle, and I thought he won't get through there. And I dropped him in the call.
And Superimpose has about 2 behind him as they turn for home, and he's got nowhere to go coming over the rise.
I started looking for other horses that might have a winning chance. Suddenly, 50 metres from home, black, white sleeves, red cap.
Look at Superimpose, he's come through between horses, he's going to do it. It's history at Randwick. Superimpose has come from last and he wins his second Epsom. An amazing performance and a great ride by Beedman.
There he was, and I had to literally pluck him out of the sky. It wasn't, from a caller's viewpoint, it wasn't good, and I'd love to have it over again.
Battle Heights on the outside, swoop to the lead.
2 favourites. 1976, there was a marvellous old New Zealander called Battle Heights. He was 9 years old when he won the Metrop. 2.5 years earlier, he'd won the Sydney Cup. And in between the two, he won a Cox Plate. He was a funny old horse. He didn't win every week. In fact, he could have a sequence of 7 or 8 unplaced runs, and then suddenly he'd go bang and win a Group 1. I can still see him. Low head carriage, not a pretty horse to watch, but boy was he tough. and a great, great stayer.
Battle Heights, that's the most popular win in the race. Battle Heights by more than a length.
The other one, Tim, 2 years later, Ming Dynasty.
Ming Dynasty ahead in front. R1 lunged at him. Photo Ming Dynasty. Ming Dynasty won the Metrop.
Not only did he win a Metropolitan, he also won 2 Caulfield Cups, 2 Australian Cups, and later in life he became a Clerk of the Courses mount and second only to Sub-Zero as the most popular Clerk of the Courses pony in the whole of Australia.
We also saw the Gimcrack and the Breeders' Plate, the young horses coming through. Breeders' Plate's really interesting because we've seen a lot of Breeders' Plate winners go on and win the Golden Slipper.
A total of 8, in fact. The most recent were horses like Capitalist, Piero, Vancouver, and the earlier ones included Sky High, Baguette, and then the daddy of them all, Luskin Star, who won his Breeders' Plate by an astounding 12 lengths.
Luskin Star shot clear. He's a super colt, all right. He's making an absolute mess of them. Luskin Star careered away.
Then he won the Silver Slipper. Then he had a little break. He got beaten first up at Newcastle on a bog track. He then won the Todman Slipper Trial, then the Golden Slipper by 7 lengths, the Sire's Produce by 3, and the Champagne Stakes by 6. He was a sensational 2-year-old.
Unbelievable, amazing. Next week, it's Everest Day. Can you believe what it's become? $20 million, richest race on turf. Only 5 jockeys, of course, because Kerrin McEvoy won it 3 times. Sam won it last year.
No, I didn't expect it to materialise into the phenomenon that it has become. I can't believe it's worth 20 million. I can't believe the atmosphere and the magic that it generates on the day at Randwick. No, it's a true phenomenon, and I guess sometimes I daydream a little bit. I wish I'd gotten to call one.
Now, of course, we lost a giant in this industry a couple of weeks ago, Graham McNeice, and you and him had a close friendship.
Yeah, we were great mates for a long, long time, Tim. As a professional operator, there was none better. Near enough was never good enough for Shadow. I saw him on occasions 1 hour into an edit, and he'd stop and start again. And his common phrase was, "It's not working." So he'd start again. He was a true, absolute perfectionist. As a human being, there's never been a better bloke.
Storytelling in this sport is unlike any other sport. It's magical.
Yeah, maybe cricket is snapping at its heels. Old cricket people love to reminisce about days gone by. I'm certainly that way about horse racing. It always has and it always will give me tingles up the spine. Or is it down the spine? Or both ways, doesn't matter. It's a wonderful business.
It is great to have your company on Racing Dreams, and it's always great to have one of the names in the business on the program. Team Hawkes, very unlucky not to have won an Everest at this point.
Just to remind him at the start of the interview. We are, of course, talking about Masked Crusader. We're also talking about Wayne Hawkes. Good morning to you, Mr. Hawkes.
Good morning, Julie. Good morning, Tim. And you forgot about Chautauqua's first Everest. That was a shocker.
Oh,
But anyway,
we didn't want to slap him in the face.
Well, let's not forget about it. Let's go to 2017 because...
Yeah, good on you. Great having you on, Tim. Thanks very much.
But Wayno, what about the way she stormed home in it? Like, she finished 4th, and like, give it another 50 metres, she would have won the thing in 2017, or he would have, rather.
It's I can still remember it now. He was back on the fence and roaring up the inside, but was too little, too late. Unfortunately, it's an amazing race. This race, and you know what? I was a doubter. I'll be honest with you. I was a doubter about this race, but one thing about this race that no one can deny, forget about the $20 million and all that sort of stuff. We are talking about this race 51 weeks of the year, and then the 52nd week, it is the Everest week, so it's all about the Everest. The Melbourne Cup, unfortunately, because of all the European influence now, we don't have as many horses out here because we used to have the Aussies and the Kiwis, didn't we? We'd have the Sydney Cup winner, the Auckland Cup winner, the Wellington Cup winner. We'd all get them back in the spring and watch them run first, second, third up. Whereas the way that the Melbourne Cup is now, we don't get to see all of the runners. Whereas in the Everest, we're watching all these good horses start first up, second up, third up in the Everest, and we've got form all the way through.
We just heard Johnny Tapp earlier in the show say, you know, this race has become a phenomenon. What was it that you doubted? Why were you sceptical at the start?
Well, you know what? No one likes change. I mean, we all like to just stick to doing what we do best, and everything was rolling along. And this bloke called Volandis came in, and I equate it. It's Coles versus Woolworths. He's Sydney, Melbourne's Melbourne, and he's only worrying about what he does. And it's Coles is obviously looking at Woolworths, but at the end of the day, Peter's taken the mantle. Melbourne fell asleep on their own swords, so Peter just grabbed it. So this race has just become a phenomenal race. And I suppose when you're talking big money, you're talking slots. Was it that successful? I think it was down in Florida when it first started. It didn't last very long. And, well, you know what? Now it's gone to Group 1 status. And if you actually go back and look at the horses that have won the race, there's not too many, I was going to say hacks, but there's not too many average horses that have won this race. They are star-studded, and Kieran McEvoy winning 3 Everests. I mean, the jocks are at the top of the tree that are winning this race as well. So it's a proper race, and it does deserve the Group 1 status, which it now has.
I won't take you back to 2021 and look at the Vision of Masked Crusader, but there was a swooping finish. Did finish second.
Just remember who's keeping us on track, Wayne.
Reasonable purse for second. Reasonable purse for second as well. But I was out there last Saturday, and a horse that did very well as a 3-year-old beat a number of the horses that will be in the Everest. And Team Hawks, your brother jumped on one of the owners. I thought we were going to see something like Esther Jarb. Of course, I'm talking about Airman. That was a good win, wasn't it, at price?
Yeah, it was a great win. And it's amazing when you have a winner at 40-1, the texts you get straight after going, oh, thanks, you left me out. And if you gave him a 41 tip and a run 27, they'd boo-hoo you. But, look, the race panned out perfectly well for him. Zach Lloyd was career best form last Saturday. You're not going to get a run like that in the Everest again. Bella Nipotina's there running 4th. She's rocketing home down the outside. We're heading towards the Sydney Stakes. We're not going to be in the Everest, but you know what? That's okay. It's a $2 million race, and what a consolation. In the trots for years, they've always had the Derby consolation and an Inter-Dominion consolation. So obviously Peter, having time at the trots, has probably picked up on that. And having a $2 million consolation and having a horse that won the last lead up to the Everest, well, you know what? Small fish are sweet with us, so we're very, very happy. And he ran against some great horses last week. But there's a bloke down here in Melbourne where I am called I Wish I Win. And, he's going to give him a big start, but gee whiz, he's looking for the big track at Randwick because he's been racing around the tight circuit of Moonee Valley, and I think he's the one to beat myself.
Yeah, well, of course, finished second last year, and I think people sort of out of sight, out of mind sometimes here in Sydney, and Wishy is very much on track and looking great for Team Moody there. Before we let you go, you've got Swift Falcon today, starting favourite in the Gloaming.
Very promising.
Yeah, he's a lovely horse. He ran first up in Melbourne, then he went back to Sydney and won last week. And like everyone, it was amazing. 4 minutes before the race, everyone was saying he's going to mat bad, he's going to mat bad, he's going to mat bad. Well, it probably did, but it didn't matter. So quick back up, but today we'll find out whether he runs the 1,800 metres. He ran the 1,600 out there very, very strongly, but it's an amazing industry. 200 metres can stop a horse. They can be brilliant at a mile, but 1,800's too far. But I suppose that's a bit like the Olympic Games. Why don't the swimmers swim over further and the runners run over further distance? But 200 metres pulls a horse up. So it's going to be a good test for us today with our bloke to see whether he runs the 1,800, and then we have the option of running in the Spring Champion in 2 weeks' time, or on the same day there's a 3-year-old mile race worth $1 million or $2 million. So I think it's worth $1 million, and the Spring Champion's worth $2 million. So today will tell us a lot about Swift Falcon, and one other thing quickly, he won last preparation on a heavy 9 or heavy 8 in Sydney. And when he ran first up here in Melbourne, everyone said, oh, he's a wet tracker. But what they didn't know was that Jay Ford came in and said to my brother, he was terrible on this track. He got through it and went through it, but he was absolutely terrible. And when he gets on the dry track, away he'll go.
Yeah, well, I'm watching with interest. The punters certainly like him, and I was very good over 40 metres. 60 metres tended to challenge me. Hawksy, good to see you.
10 metres pulled me up, brother. I'm good for comfort, not speed.
Me
I'd
too.
say it before you did.
Me too. All right, we'll talk soon, eh? Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Julie.
Thanks, Wayne. Well, of course, another huge day of racing today at Rosehill. It's always a great chat with Wayne. Let's get an update on track conditions with the crew from the ATC.
We're at Rosehill Gardens as the Sydney Everest Carnival continues here for Hill Stakes Day, featuring the Group 2 $2 million Toyota Forklift Hill Stakes, and I'm with Assistant Racecourse Manager Dave. Dave, the track's looking in great order. Can you tell us what's it currently rated?
Matt, it's currently rated a good 4, probably the high side of a good 4. We've had to put a bit of irrigation into it earlier in the week just to get it where we want it. And then we're back off now because there's a little bit of rain predicted Friday night into Saturday morning. So we'll just monitor that and see what we do irrigation-wise tomorrow.
All right, you mentioned a little bit of rain, and then what are we looking at for actually on Saturday, on race day?
Well, the next couple of days, today's going to be about 26, nice sunny day, and 25 on Friday. But Saturday's looking like it's going to creep back down, the temperatures under 20.
Can you now tell us the rail was in the True where we raced here a couple of weeks ago. What is it on Saturday?
Yeah, well, we had it in the True for Golden Rose, and then we went out to 7 for that Wednesday meet straight after. Now we've got the rail at 2 metres from the 1500 to the 900, and 3 metres the remainder, including the 1200 chute. Just to give it a little bit more for the Alan Brown and the 1400 there, so we can get enough runners in.
Yeah, great. And finally, tell us, then there's a few weeks until the Golden Eagle Day. What do you do after Saturday to the track?
Yeah, well, we'll be doing a light renovation, not too much because it's been racing really well lately. So just a light there. We'll cut it down a little bit, look at what we do to the profile and that, and some important sprays leading up to that Golden Eagle.
Fantastic. Yeah, really looking forward to Saturday. Make sure you get your tickets to the races.com.au. Should be a fantastic day of racing. Dave, best of luck on Saturday.
Thanks very much, Matt.
Well, next week is huge for so many people involved in the Everest.
And a man that knows what all this build-up and hype is like, and also to win the Everest is slot holder Peter Tighe. Good morning to you, Pete.
Yeah, morning, Tim. Morning, Jules.
And, well, you've won it twice, of course, with Yes and Nature Strip. Jolie Starr, how is she?
Well, so far so good. Plan's gone perfectly. Chris is very happy with the horse. We're very excited to have James McDonald riding her. And we know that she's got tons of ability. So hopefully on the day she's got more than a few of the others.
The field is just about there, probably one slot to be really locked in, but we're yet to see a mare or a filly place, let alone win this race. Do you think this is the year that the girls might get the job done?
I think it is. I've probably got to say that because I've got Jolly Star in, but it just seems to be the quality of the fillies mares that are in the race are going to lift it this year, and it will really test all the boys. So a really great race this year. I mean, it's got everything, and the build-up's been fantastic.
Well, let's go back. Let's get nostalgic. We love it on this program. When Yes won, that was out of the bag, wasn't it?
Absolutely. We had a bit of a rough trot getting a horse. The original horse we had broke down, I think, about 2 weeks out from the race, and we were all scratching our heads looking for something. And Chris and Glenn Voss came up with the idea that Yes should be a great candidate. So we took a punt and stuck him in, and my God, couldn't have worked out any better for us.
Yeah, Bossy speaks so fondly of that one and has such a high opinion of Yes, obviously at Coolmore now. And of course, Nature Strip, this horse has to hold a special place in everyone's heart.
Well, yeah, he's just an out-and-out champion, Nature Strip, and we were lucky enough to have him the year that he won. We've had him. We had him a couple of times in the Everest, but he was on song that year, and it's a great race. It just, it sends tingles down your spine just being able to be involved with it. So I'm just gearing up for this week that's coming up because it's just functions and all the hype and everything that's going on, and it's going to be massive in Sydney for next Saturday.
Yeah,
It's a huge week,
yeah, absolutely,
isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. Not a lot of sleep goes on. Now, common sense prevailed during the week with the Everest and All-Star Mile both given Group 1 status?
Well, it really goes without saying. It should have been Group 1 a long time ago. So, hands, pat on the back for everybody involved that got it to the Group 1 status, and it's got exactly what it deserved. And the winner, the winner of the Everest, before it attained Group 1 status, horses were going to stud like yes, and on the back of not actually winning a Group 1. That's how important people look at the Everest now.
I think yes really changed the course of how people looked at that race too in terms of stud value. Pete, it has become quite the phenomenon now. Can you describe what it's like, because we see all the vision and we hear all the music, what it's like to be down there trackside watching 40-odd thousand people and a younger, different looking generation of racing enthusiasts at this day?
Well, it looks fantastic from my point of view, because I'm one of the older crowd, and just seeing all the young people getting involved, and not only just getting involved, but really, really enjoying it. It's just a celebration of racing, and hats off to Peter V'landys and his vision, because he's put something forward that's turned into, I don't even think he could have imagined how big it's got.
Yeah.
And it's going to get bigger. I mean, it's not going to go backwards, and it's a race. It's well and truly on the world stage now with the Group 1 status, and the viewing audience next Saturday will be in the millions.
Yeah, talking to a few people during the week, it's going to be teeming, of course, at capacity. All the hospitality has been sold, so it is going to be a cracking day. Now, you do often get down to Coolmore, of course, because you've got a little girl down there called Winks. And the Jerry's Plains, I always love it because I always get one of those old school sandwiches. How is she, and what do you think of the movie in the end?
Well, obviously very biased, but yeah, we love the movie. I think it's they captured the essence of her story, and the highs and lows, and there were some lows that people didn't really know about. So it's all out there for everyone to have a look at. And we've had quite a few people ring us and tell us that they've enjoyed it, which is what we like to hear. But no, it was a good movie, and the star of the show is doing very well down at Coolmore. She's big and round at the moment, and we're getting down to the business end of the foaling stage.
Well, Pete, in a week's time, we will, actually it'll be less than a week, we'll see you here in Sydney, catch up for all the hype that is the Everest. At this stage, 1 week out, who do you reckon is the one to beat, aside from Jolie Starr in the 2024 Tab Everest?
Look, I can't go past Jolie Starr. I mean, I'm looking at the form like everyone else. So they're all eligible winners. I mean, if any horse wins, no one's going to be really surprised. I don't care about the price, but you've got to keep coming back to I wish I win, I suppose, is the main danger. He's had a perfect program. He's got a master trainer. He knows his way around the joint. So it'll be a great contest of not only horses, but trainers and jockeys.
Yeah, and it's great to see as dog lovers to see that dog just peacefully sleeping right through the interview. They say never include animals and children, but just slept there beautifully.
I didn't know he was on, sorry.
He has a good
I love it. Good on you, Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
Yeah.
All right, stay with us. Still to come on Racing Dreams. We'll take a very quick look at the weekly tipping, Tom, and then we're going to chat to Shane O'Cass about today's racing. That's far more important.
Oh, nice to have your company. It is time to take a look at our tips for the week, and we've allowed a big extended period of time here to go and do a full analysis of who's leading and everything else. Mark Brassel from Racing New South Wales, how are you?
Yeah, fantastic. I'm getting dust in my face from all these people in front of me. I'm sitting on a puny 6 points. I've got to do better.
Oh, you can do a Chautauqua. Shane O'Cass from the Daily Telegraph, how are you, my friend?
Morning, Tim. Morning, Julian. I'm a bit embarrassed this week about last week's selection, so I'm happy to skim over it.
Oh, no, don't be
Yeah.
embarrassed, mate. Not everyone can win. Who have you gone this week?
Yeah, look, I'm pretty keen on El Costello, race 4, number
Anthony
3
Cummings.
in the good horse. Yeah, good trainer. He won a derby, did Anthony, a few years back with a horse called 5.5 Star. Now, this horse, in human terms, would be his nephew. So he's bred to go the trip. There he is in the orange. This is him in the Fernhill Stakes, just chasing down Just Party. But the horse that comes out and goes straight past him is Broadsiding, no less. So to stick on well and run second to a horse like Broadsiding at only his second start is a pretty good effort. He's improved since. He's growing all the time into a pretty nice staying 3-year-old. And look, if he can measure up today, I see no reason why he can't go on and win the Derby.
Okay, interesting.
Timmy, who have you gone with?
Well, I'm going to go against him. I'm going to go Swift Falcon, the favourite to win the Gloaming. I think that we just had Wayne Hawkes on the program. He's confident he'll get the distance, and yeah, very, very good horse. What do you think of Swift Falcon, Shane?
Look, I think Hawksy summed it up pretty well. If he can run the extra 200, he probably nearly wins the race. I mean, he was really dominant here in the Dulcify. He's got a great turn of foot. He's a pretty nice horse. So I'd be interested to see how far he runs, but he's only got to go an extra 200 today.
All right, let's take a look at my runner, and I've gone with a Ferrari this week, race 10, number 10. Zach Lloyd gets the ride again. We're just watching this last start there. You can see she just gets checked a couple of times, actually, in this replay at Rose Hill. She's over the 1100 today. Great turn of foot, finished strong to come in third for this one. So I think today is her day over the 1100. Let's hope she lives up to her name. That is Ferrari. All right, Mr. Brassel.
I'm going Sweet Alabama. Don't ask me to sing that song, but
no, don't worry, we won't.
In the first race, Alabama State, yeah, I'm a shocker. You'll see him running about sixth, buried away, red sleeves with the white armbands. Now, watch it about the 250. He'll cop a bump and push back to near the fence, just here from the winner in the red and yellow. It worked out at the horses in the worst part of the track, and the trainer said that's exactly where we didn't want to be. So for him to still get home and run second, he goes all right, this fella. And the colours are very famous. Sir Dapper, Peter Horwitz, Railways won a Doncaster. So yeah, I think he can get the cash and put me back on the board.
Well, he's going to need to get you actually moving away from probably sweeping out stables, because that's where you're looking at the moment.
I bought new overalls.
Let's have a look at our other tipsters. Kirsten Duke from Sky Racing has gone with Snack Bar, Rose Hill Race 6. Great name. Julianne Horseman from Kembla Grange is with Smashing Time Race 4, number 2 today at Kembla Grange. Nick Burney from Racing New South Wales has gone on King of Thunder at Kembla Grange as well, race 7, number 6. Jared Croker is tipping race 4, number 2, Henleen. We don't need to look at the
we might as well. There we go.
No,
there's Mark on 6. He's one ahead of Jared, got his nose in front, and Shane 2 behind the leader. So Julie...
Nick has really made a comeback. I'm yet to reach double digits, which is a concern to me. Yeah, Jared Croker. Look, the good news is we're still beating Jared Croker.
And quite a remarkable effort for that. I didn't see the name, but whoever was leading on 14 doing an extraordinary job.
Yeah,
Shana.
so let's talk to Shane about the racing today. We've got the $2 million Hill Stakes.
Never gets old.
Yeah, a lot of money, isn't it? $2 million weight for age race, 1800. It's brought together a good field. I suppose the two horses that, or three, that are most interesting, we've got 2 Epsom runners backing up. That's Royal Patronage and Kovalika. There was only a nose between them in the Epsom a couple of weeks back. They were both terrific runs. And also Pericles, the Godolphin horse, he's back in Sydney with Nash Wawilla to ride, and Nash has ridden 2 of the last 3, so he's been in great form in this race. But look, I would keep an eye on those Epsom horses. They are peaking for this, and they'll both appreciate the step up in distance, so it should be a really great clash.
The Alan Brown Stakes?
Yeah, this is worth $1.5 million. It's a fairly new race that's been added to the calendar. Look, I think the horse to look at here from even an after this race point of view is Gringotts, trained by Kieran Maher. Now, this horse won the Tamworth Cup basically on Anzac Day this year, and that made him eligible for the Big Dance. And not only that, he is actually the favourite for the Big Dance at about $3.80. So, look, if he comes out and wins a race like this today, he'll be a lot shorter and a lot harder to beat in the Big Dance.
We've also got the Roman Consul Stakes. You liking Switzerland for this one?
Well, look, I think it's a D-Day for Switzerland. He was very disappointing first up. He's had a barrier trial since, which was okay, look, perhaps a little bit inconclusive. But look, I thought at the end of last year, after the slipper where he did have excuses, he might come back and be the top 3-year-old sprinter of the crop. But he hasn't done that yet. So he's got to step up today. Not saying he won't or he can't, but he has to.
Yeah, broadsiding in Melbourne today. James McDonald on board. What a colt.
Yeah, and what a horse to bring up your 100th Group 1 winner in, and I think he'll do it. Broadsiding he's so much like the Autumn Sun, he's so much like Animo. He is the standout colt of the crop from sort of 1600 and up. And where this horse ends up, hopefully he doesn't go to stud too soon, because he could just win Group 1 after Group 1 after Group 1, and James will be with him the whole way. Yeah, it's very exciting times for J-Mac, of course. Chasing that Group 1 number 100, but I think he's really eyeing off that 129 from Damien Oliver. Now, Brass, you've already turned your tipping attention to next week. You got in early.
Well, there was one I fancied this week, and someone beat me to it. So I thought, I wish I win. I'm with Hawksy. I think he is the ideal horse. He should have nearly won it last year, and he's been primed for one race only. Peter Moody.
Okay, well, if you're going to go out on a limb, I'll go out on a limb, and I'll say Sunshine in Paris to beat you. So that's my tip. Or we're getting him very, very early.
But it's not favourite, Tim.
I never go with favourites. I always look just look for a little bit of price, and Sunshine in Paris. But look at the scoreboard.
Anyway, we still have some time to go. No one likes a bragger. Shane, lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us. A week till the big one. All the fun begins on Monday.
Yeah, absolutely amazing, isn't it, that we're this close after the big build-up, which Hawksy pointed out. He's quite right. It's 51 weeks of the year we talk about this race. The barrier draw is on Tuesday. Be very interesting to see. It might ruin it or hurt a few horses' chances, but it's going to be an absolutely fantastic race.
Good on you, Shane, and good on you, Mark. Made the best horse win. And I would rather term it self-confidence than bragging. You know, I wouldn't ever call it bragging.
So thank
Just
you
a little bit of self-confidence.
to everyone for your company today.
Oh dear.
Thank you to Racing New South Wales, to Arrowfield. Someone has to cut this man off.
Have a great and wonderful week. It's Everest week. It doesn't get any better. We'll see you next time.
See you next week.
Bye.